It is located on the southern shore of the famous Lake Titicaca, on the Altipano at an altitude of 3,850 meters in the province of Ingalvi along the border between Bolivia and Peru.
Tiwanaku, also known as Tiahuanaco, was the capital of the Tiwanaku Empire between 200 to 1000 CE and is situated in the Titicaca Basin. It had a population of between 30,000 and 70,000 residents. The Tiwanaku Empire, at its largest extent, dominated the Altiplano Plains and stretched from the Peruvian coast to northern Bolivia and included parts of northern Chile.
Tiwanaku was founded sometime in the early intermediate period, which is about 200 BC to 600 CE. The earliest architectural buildings date back to around 200 CE, while the more complex and grander parts of the city came in 375 CE. All this new architecture came with sculptures, gateways, and religious buildings. This region was later used by the Incas, as they believed that this city was built by the god Viracocha, where the first humans were created and where the god reigned over the civilization.
It is filled with monumental ruins of this pre-Inca culture, including temples, pyramids, symbolic gates, monoliths, and mysterious carvings. The entire city was built with a grid design, with several religious buildings and monuments placed in the center of different parts of the city as focal points. The whole city was also surrounded by a moat, which was thought to be symbolic, with three sides of the moat being artificially created and the fourth side being made up by Lake Titicaca.
It is a city, but no stores, houses, or administrative buildings have been found on this site. There have been found large residential areas which were found surrounding the sacred center, which now lie under fields that are used for agriculture.
One of the biggest problems encountered by archaeologists at this dig was the difficulty they faced when trying to differentiate between modern constructions and the original remains. At digs, the protocol is usually that when the archaeologists reconstruct parts of the excavation site in order to develop a better visual picture and understanding of the original area, they would make these reconstructed parts easily enough to be taken down later on if their interpretation turned out to be incorrect. Unfortunately, this did not seem to be the case at this dig, therefore several problems were produced. The director of the Tiwanaku project, Alexei Vranich, was even quoted with saying that in the brief amount of time he's been there, he's seen more roads and houses built directly on the site, destroying archaeological remains and ruining the aesthetics of the place. Other than this problem, though, the only other significant ones mainly revolve around how to interpret the findings of the archaeologists, though these problems would usually occur outside of the actual archaeological site.
They have learned that its location was strategically placed between the lake and the dry highlands, which provided key resources of food and water. Since the location provided plenty of rain, the people learned to use it to harness it for the use of their farming. Also, that the Acapana pyramid was made through the raising of previous ritual buildings, including sections of the Calacasa complex to provide the thousands of tons of stone necessary to build it, which became the largest freestanding structure ever seen in the high Andes.
This site today helps us understand what some say the oldest city in the world was like. It is also significant as it provides insight to the world of the powerful pre-Inca civilization and explores their history and culture, as they had a great influence on the civilization of the Incas themselves.
Something interesting about this site was that this old city under excavation was once the highest city in the ancient world in terms of altitude. Related to that, Tiwanaku was also one of the highest urban centers ever constructed at the time. Also, out of all the ruins in Central and South America, Tiwanaku in particular has been the subject of many strange theories. There was an Austrian astronomer who claimed persistently in the 20th century that Tiwanaku was the product of one of Earth's previous moons crashing into the planet. More recently, in the 1960s, a Swiss author came to the conclusion, based on his research, that aliens had set up an encampment at Tiwanaku, and the great monuments found there were actually erected not by the people of this ancient city, but by using extraterrestrial technology. Ooh.